Like, what do you call it? I call it the Pilar. I think it sounds cool that way. Pilar? Pilar. What are you looking for when you're getting a knife? An everyday carry knife. Are you looking for a knife that looks good? A knife that has good blade steel? Or maybe a knife that can sharpen well? Are you looking for fidget factor? Maybe a pocket clip? These are all things that I look for when I'm looking for an EDC knife. Quite often I'm seeing the CRKT Pilar. Pilar? Pilar. How do you pronounce it? I asked in the live when I first did the unboxing of this, what is everybody calling it? How do you pronounce the CRKT? Pilar? Pilar? Pilar. I'm going to call it the Pilar. Pilar? How's that sound? Pilar? Pilar. Well, either way, that's what I'm calling it. This knife has been through quite a bit with me already. I told everybody that I would get a review on this knife as soon as I could spidey flick the knife. This knife came pretty stiff, so I thought that was going to be pretty hard, but it's broken in very well. So this knife came with the pocket clip in an absolute wrong way, so I had to switch that to the correct way to carry your knife. Yes, the correct way to carry your knife. I've been carrying it quite a bit. I've been putting it through some work, cut some sheetrock, cutting some flooring. Let's go ahead and give this a little bit of a stropping here. I've got the work sharp. So I've been using this knife quite a bit. Never sharpened them. So one thing I gotta say here is, as far as with that, you can call it a finger choil, but with that little guy there, it definitely works great for sharpening choil. What do you guys think of this hat? Can I pull it off? I spent actually a little bit of time sharpening a knife that a buddy of mine, BLacksmithEDC, sent me, and I got the blade I got that blade so razor sharp, and I just used this thing. This thing works. This work sharp, I tell you what, I'm a fan. I'm going to use an envelope and just to see how sharp it really is here. And you saw I only stropped this only a few little times. I didn't strop it a whole lot, so you can see it does get pretty darn sharp. This little CRKT has been awesome in the pocket. You know, it's got a little bit of weight on here. I thought about switching out to the titanium scales like you can find, you know, on Blade HQ or Flightanium. I just haven't built the budget yet to switch over yet. I do want to get a different pocket clip. I'd like to get a deep carry pocket clip because that's just the way I like to carry a knife. So let's go over some of the specification. So let's talk about the specs of the knife here. You got a satin blade finish. You've got the blade length of 2.402 inches or 61 millimeters if you're that way. The edge is plain. The steel is the 8CR13 MOV. Is that a good blade steel? Well, you know, always the eye of the beholder. If you like to sharpen your knife, or how well can you sharpen a knife, or what are you using the knife for? So that's kind of something that's really up to the user, I guess you could say. It's a thickness of 0.145 or 3.7 millimeters. The closed length is 3.50 inches. It's a 4.2 ounces. You know, that's a little heavy actually, believe it or not, because I carry other knives that are a lot lighter, which is why I want to get the scale swapped out with a maybe the Flightanium or any other type of titanium, or maybe I'll even switch it out. You know, I've been into copper, so that might even, you know, persuade me a little bit. But this handle is stainless steel with a bead blast finish. Knife style is what we call a folding knife with a frame lock. One-handed operation, easy to deploy. Pocket clip being a low profile pocket clip. I prefer a deep carry pocket clip. That's one thing I'm hoping to switch out. This is the thumb hole version. This is not the flipper version. They do have multiple ones. The flipper would be quite cool. This is pretty much like the OG, I guess you could say. Like, this is the original. So I picked this knife up at my local Fleet Farm. It's a pretty sweet knife, you know, as far as using it, a very budget friendly. You know, this does come in 2 blade steels. It comes in D2, which is my favorite, which I didn't have the opportunity to get the D2 steel at my local fleet farm, so I went with the 8CR13 MOV. It works, you know, it's doing pretty good here. I just can't do that. I like that. I like frame locks. I'm gonna call myself out here and I'm gonna admit that I don't like liner locks. So, as I was saying, like, you know, going through this knife, using it quite a bit, carrying it, it's broken very well. The pocket clip does pretty well. You know, it slides in and out of the pocket pretty decent. Pretty happy with that. I didn't even realize I didn't even know I was going to talk about it, but look at that. It's one-handed. It's one-handed operation. A one-handed operated knife, I would say, as far as aesthetics-wise, I really, really do like this knife. I think it looks really cool. I like the way it holds. You know, I can choil up, choke up like we used to say in baseball. You know, it's as far as for me, I do need to add a lanyard on there. So for me, it's a little small, but it's not as bad. You know, I like the size of it. It's very utilitarian, I guess you could say, in my opinion. It's a great box opener. You know, I think it does pretty well. I will say, it's still a little stiff. Did loosen the D10 just a little bit. So in the EDC community, if you know me, you follow me on Instagram, you know that I like to take photos. I like to photograph knives, and this is one of those knives that showed up a lot. I saw this all over Instagram. Saw a lot of photos. You know, the classic stick it in the wood. Got the shutter on. You know, I see this a lot, so I had to get my hands on this knife. I thought, you know, if it's showing off that much, it's gotta be a good knife. I'm gonna regret that one later. Tell me down in the comments what your thoughts on the CRKT Pilar is. I'm curious to know, to have a conversation about it. What do you think? Do you think it's worth the $35 that I paid for it? If you enjoyed this video, let me know. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, like this, and share this video with a friend that maybe is looking for a new EDC knife. Have a great week and swing the axe. Oh, and don't forget to watch one of my other videos.